So the long-awaited video, how did I lose £12,000 from Airbnb? I get this question all the time because I made a huge mistake. So now we're going to dive into the juicy topics on what to do and what not to do.
So a lot of people are probably wondering, how did you lose £12,000? What mistakes did you make? But first of all, let's talk about where it all started. So where did you take the property on, and take us back to how it all started.
So this property, I actually found it through a deal sourcer. Obviously, there is kind of like a bad stigma towards deal sourcers, and I understand why. However, there are good deal sourcers out there. But the deal sourcer, she didn't do the numbers properly. I didn't have no knowledge, so I didn't do the numbers properly. So it was just it's a bad deal, I guess.
So when you took on the property and the deal sourcer gave it to you, did you not think to do the numbers yourself? What was your thought process, and what was the conversation you had with the deal sourcer?
So because I didn't have that much knowledge, I'd done the numbers, but I didn't do the numbers properly. So I used the AirDNA to analyze this deal, but AirDNA kind of overpriced the nightly rate. So I done the nightly rate on an overpriced number. So when I took the property on myself, it wasn't in a great location, so I couldn't actually achieve the price that AirDNA told me.
So where was the property located?
So this property was in Cardiff. So Wales essentially, but not like in amazing, like not near the city centre. I think it was quite a while away from the city centre. So the demand, I guess, wasn't necessarily there.
So was you familiar with that area, or did you have a patch in mind? Did you even know you wanted to get an essay in Cardiff, or did it kind of just fall into your lap?
So I actually didn't, I was just desperate. So I was kind of just desperate to get into rent to rent. So I'd seen loads of videos about it on social media. And then I actually went through a period where I was calling landlords and I was just getting rejected. So when I asked, I was in a deal sourcing group chat. I literally just asked, who has a deal? Like, it wasn't any specific location, price. I just said, who has a deal? Someone reached out to me. She sent me 3 deals. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go for this one. So it wasn't really calculated. I didn't have a patch in mind.
So you bought the deal, you got the keys, and then what?
So it was actually funny because as soon as I got the keys, the landlord was in the property, and I stepped in the property and I was like, oh, hi, I just collected the keys. She was like, what? No, you didn't. I was like, yeah, I just got the keys from the estate agent. So she called the estate agent, and basically I felt really uncomfortable. So from the start, I should have really given back the keys because the landlord wasn't comfortable that I was taking it on through my company and doing Airbnb. She didn't really understand it. So she was like, oh yeah, are you gonna be doing Airbnb? I don't want Airbnb. And then when I first went there as well, it was a 2-bedroom property with 2 reception rooms. So I told her, oh yeah, in the second reception room, I'm just gonna put 2 single beds in here to sleep more guests. She was like, what? No, you're not doing that. And I was like, yes, I am. And she was like, no, you're not. You can't do that. So then she called the estate agent, and the estate agent basically was like, yeah, I'm not allowed to do that. Then the deal sourcer said to me, you can do it, but just do it on the low. So that's kind of my first encounter with her. It was a bit awkward. It's she wasn't really fully aware, but it was kind of a bit messy. Should have taken the sign to just walk away, but I still continued.
Was there anything you looked out for when you bought the deal off the deal sourcer, or did you not really do much research into her?
I mean, I did a bit of research because when I was about to send the money, my bank flagged it, and they were like, are you sure it's not fraudulent? Have you spoken to her? Have you met her? And guys, I didn't even view the property. Did you know that?
That's crazy.
I didn't even go to view the property. So when my bank was telling me be suspicious, then I was starting to be a bit suspicious because I hadn't met the deal sourcer. I hadn't, the agent was kind of a small agent, and I hadn't viewed the property. I just saw a video and I said, yeah, let's go.
So prior to that, did you do any calls yourself to landlords and agents, or did you not bother?
So I actually done calls, but I was just getting rejected. I didn't really have a structured script, so they were just shutting me down. So I didn't really have much. I didn't have any success. So.
Okay, so you ended up taking on the property, you staged it, and I'm guessing you put it live on Airbnb. Then what happened?
I used all my money for this rent to rent. I actually used more money than I anticipated, because again, on the breakdown of the investors pack the deal sourcer sent me, she said total money in would be 7K, but she didn't factor in the deposit. So I didn't realize I was supposed to pay a deposit until I got to the till I collected the keys. So I didn't actually factor in the what I was supposed to use for furniture.
Was it a month's deposit?
Yeah, 1 month deposit.
That's crazy.
So yeah, then I got to the property and I was like, oh my God, I can't really afford to even stage. So that's when I done IKEA finance, which I explained in the first video. So if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. But yeah, I done IKEA finance for this property.
Right. So obviously you don't live anywhere near Cardiff. You're quite a distance away. So how did you make it work?
I had a very tight budget, so I actually didn't really have enough money to even go to Cardiff. Like, it's really expensive to go there. I think it was like £67.
That's crazy.
One way. Yeah, £67 one way. So I had to bump train, guys. I honestly had to bump the train. Like, I even got caught
You gotta
one
do
time.
what you gotta do.
Yeah, and then I ended up taking coach as well. It was a bit more convenient.
So for the people who don't know, where do you, like, how far's the distance?
It was around it took me 3.5 hours to keep going back and forth. So I tried to make sure I set it up quite quickly, but I didn't.
Did you do the setup all alone? Like, was the start to finish all just you, or did you have help from family, friends? What was your
Yeah, so I set it up mainly alone. However, my mum did come at one point. She came like, I think for a night or two to help me stage, but it was mainly all alone, and it was a very lonely process. I'm not gonna lie, like, it was a very lonely process.
That's crazy, man. Like, it must feel so crazy that you made such a loss, but now, like, you've made such a huge win. So yeah, that's really nice that your mum came and helped you, but I can imagine it being quite lonely. So how did you end up losing 12K?
So the initial startup cost, I think I lost around 7 or 8 grand. The whole setup cost. So this was the rent, deposit, and the furniture. So all of that cost me quite a lot of money. And then the rest of the money, which was basically me topping up the rent. So I didn't actually get enough money to get enough bookings to cover the rent. So every single month I was not even really topping up, because I would say topping up is like £100, £200.
Yeah.
I was like, the first month I had to pay the whole rent. So I had to get a 9 to 5 because I quit my job, and then I couldn't afford to pay the rent. So I had to get a 9 to 5. So the whole first month's rent I had to pay out of the 9 to 5 money. The second month's rent, I think I had like one booking which I was happy about, but it wasn't enough to. The whole time I had it, there was not a month where the bookings paid for the rent. Every single month I paid the rent out of my own pocket. So that's where
crazy.
the remainder of the money went. Yeah.
So basically you lost your money because you had to top up your rent every single month.
Yeah, so the initial startup cost and then me having to top up rent every single month made me lose that much.
So how long did you actually have the property for until you thought, you know what, I can't do this, I need to step out?
I had the property for 6 months. Maybe.
So that whole 6 months you didn't get any bookings?
I got a few bookings, but like I said, it wasn't enough to cover the rent and make profit. I didn't make any profit, so.
After 6 months, you basically wanted to give the property back. So about your contract, like, did your contract not have a 6-month break clause, or what was the situation with that?
So I actually had a 12-month break clause, and I was kind of liable to pay the rent for 12 months. But because it was losing me money every month, I was kind of thinking, like, what do I do? So that's when I basically explained the situation to the agent. I said to her, like, you know, I can't continue paying the rent. Like, I generally can't afford it. Like, it's not making me any money as a business, so I'm gonna give it back. And then she said to me, like, you're liable to pay. And don't take my advice here, guys. If in this situation, don't do this. But I had to just stop paying the rent. And then that's when she ended up finding me a replacement tenant. So it made it a lot easier.
Just out of curiosity, because I know probably a lot of people are thinking this, but as the deal was through an agent, did they not do any references on you prior to taking on the deal?
She actually didn't do any references. She said she was. I mean, she said, I'm going to take your email, your number, your name, just for references. But I guess because it was a company, I don't really...
It must have been a small agent then.
It was really small. Maybe it was an in-house and they just done some light referencing.
Yeah,
I don't know. But I don't think because I don't think I would have passed. It was a new company.
I think you definitely made the right decision leaving after 6 months, even though your break clause was 12 months. Sometimes you just got to do what you've got to do. Like, worst case, what could have happened? So during the 6 months that you did have the property, did you manage the property yourself? Obviously, you didn't live close to it. So how did you manage the property?
So another big mistake I made was giving it to a management company. So this management company, they took the property, but when I realized that a lot of my money and profits, well, not profits, but the bookings that I did have, when I realized a lot of the money was going to the management company, I asked them to give me the property back so I can manage myself. Because at this point, I think 4 months into having the property, I got trained and I knew how to manage it myself. So I said to them, okay, can I get the property back? And they basically said no. They said, no, we're going to keep the property until you give it back. And
How
I
much
was
were they
like,
taking?
I think this was 17%, but it's a lot because I wasn't making any money on the property. So I was just like, I need to at least get it back from the management company and maybe manage it myself and see if I can do it that way. And they were basically saying they're not going to give it back to me. They said, yeah, like I've signed a contract and I'm not going to be able to manage it myself. That's when I was like, okay, like I need to actually leave this contract now. Like, as in I need to give back the whole property because I can't manage it myself. I'm losing money. There's just no point.
I guess now you're in a better situation. So say if there is someone watching, what advice would you give them so they don't make the same mistakes that you made?
I would definitely say, because I was someone who was really stubborn, I didn't want to get mentorship because I was like, I can do it myself. I don't need the help. Then I would just watch all these YouTube videos and all these TikTok videos. But I would definitely say, just pay for mentorship. If I could have gone back in time and just paid for mentorship and saved myself £12,000, I really would have done that. Mentorship is way cheaper than £12,000. So I would have really just done that in the first place. I would also say, do your market research, super important. It's good to know what's in the area. I think beforehand, I didn't really know much about Cardiff. I just thought, oh yeah, Cardiff is a good area, but I didn't do my proper market research. So I would definitely say market research, super important. And I would also say contracts. Make sure that whatever contract you're using, that is more in favor of you, because the contract I use, it actually said in the contract that the landlord can break at any time, but I actually have to wait until 12 months. So when I read that contract, I didn't read it properly. So when I actually read it, when I wanted to give the keys back, like I was like, what do I do? Like, she can break the contract at any time, but I can't. So definitely make sure that whatever contract you're using is more in favor to you instead of the landlord, just to save your back in case it doesn't work.
So at what point did you think, right, I need to get training and I'm going to start all over again? Because a lot of people in that position would have probably given up and just gone back to their normal job. So how come you didn't give up? What made you keep going?
So the thing is, I knew this strategy works. Like, I know it works because even though I didn't get enough bookings to make profit, I was still getting bookings. So I said to myself, like, it definitely does work. And there was people around me who were doing it because I went to a few networking events and there were people around me who were doing property and it was working for them. So I think I was just like, it definitely works. So I'm going to try again. I'm just going to try again and get the right knowledge. If I get the right knowledge and try again and it doesn't work, then I can say, you know what, at least I have tried, but I'm going to try properly. So that's when I realized, okay, yeah, let me just do it again. You know, just take out a loan to get mentorship. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then I've tried.
So fast forward 6 months, you've now got 2 profitable rent-to-rents in London. You've obviously met myself and we have sold multiple deals to investors as well and been able to quit our jobs. So explain the process after that and how you recovered from that £12,000 loss.
I would say just surrounding myself with like-minded individuals, that really did help. And obviously meeting my business partner, because I'd done the first property alone, it just made me realize that it's so much better to do it with people around you. So that's how I was able to recover so quickly, because I had people around me who were able to help me. Whereas when I took the property, no one was really able to help me. So I'd say definitely having people around me to kind of help me with the situation, because I'd met you at the time. And yeah, just having people just around you to actually uplift you and let you know that it's going to be okay. And that really did help. It definitely helped, especially taking on the next property, because I actually took on the first rent to rent that I had with Deana whilst I was still losing money from Cardiff.
Yeah,
So,
I remember.
Yeah, so it was very scary for me, but having someone with me and holding my hand during the process, it was definitely a lot easier for me.
So if you could go back into that situation and you could see the success you've achieved now, what would you have told yourself then?
I would have just told myself to just not worry, because during that situation I was worrying all the time, guys. Like, honestly, I was crying all the time because I was stressed out. But I would just say not to worry, trust God, because like you'll get through these situations. But I would definitely say just don't stress about it. Like, if I could tell myself, I would still go through the whole process again 100%, because I learned so much. But I would just tell myself not to worry too much and just enjoy it, because you're stressing now, but like there's so much more good things to come. So I'd definitely say that.
So yeah, for everyone who did want to hear Shannah's story, here it is. So thank you so much for sharing, because I know a lot of people are going to benefit from this and hopefully not repeat the same mistakes you did. And I hope this inspires someone who also has probably experienced a few failures themselves, that if you keep going and you surround yourself with the right people, that you as well will be able to achieve the success you vision for yourself. So keep going and let the failures teach you instead of demotivate you.
Thank you so much for allowing me to share my story with you guys. If you do have any questions, just comment them below and I'd be more than happy to help you from making the same mistakes that I did. If you did have any questions, make sure you follow me on social media platforms, Property by Shannah, and I'll answer any questions that you guys have.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel, like, and leave a comment down below of what you'd like to see from us next.